Hi, hello, g'day, kia ora, welcome to the studio. This is it. The first real prompt for 2023 and the first one that I have actually done. I haven't done the previous 2 years. I am in the process of catching up on those. So you will be able to see those videos at some stage, maybe during this month, maybe in the new year. What is today's prompt? So we're on the 4th here, and we're looking at a butterfly and 3 torn things. Sounds simple enough. Think I can handle this. Nice, easy, or easing into the prompts. So I'm starting off with some watercolour paper. Now I know watercolour paper can be a bit expensive, but you can also get pads of it at your local dollar shop, or in our case here in New Zealand it's like your $2 shop. But at your Poundland or your Dollar World, whatever they are in your particular country, you can probably find some kind of watercolour pad. We're just going to put some paint down on the paper and go from there. So we'll pour our leaky coffee over. Now, I made this probably half an hour ago, so it's cooled down a little bit, but I just wanted to give it time to sort of steep into the water, although steeping, isn't that tease? We've got our watercolour paper, complete with our extra dots on there. Now, I'm using a large Chinese calligraphy brush. Use whatever you've got that will sop up a lot of water and then put it down onto your paper. Now what we're wanting to do is a series of circles in different sizes. So we're just going to dip our brush into the coffee. And we're wanting it to soak up really a lot of water. Or, I say water, but you know I mean coffee. So, sopping up a lot of the coffee. And then, we're just going to do big circles. Now, we want these circles to be in different sizes, but not too big. So I mean, I'm kind of looking at, okay, well, there's the size of my coffee lid. That's a pretty good size. And then one slightly smaller than that. And then smaller than that, if we can. So I might make them up a little bit bigger. And now I'm putting on some extra coffee. Now I'll start a second set. What I want is my watercolours, assuming I can get them open. And I'm just going to use my spray bottle of water, to spray into here. Now, I think I might try this pink. Maybe this pink. Let's do 3 different pinks. I may do like a different colour on something else. And then I'm going to do a little pool of water here to wet my brush. And whoops, I didn't clean out the last colour. That's okay. So now I'm going to really soap up some of this colour, and we're going to now colour into here. And I'm going to pull in this coffee water that's already there. If you want it darker, then put in more paint. But we're just trying to sort of soak that all in there, and then we can very carefully kind of move the paint around with the coffee water. So I'm going to add some of the same paint onto the second circle. And maybe squirt a little bit more water down here onto my desk. I find it's easier to do this than have, like, spray water there, than have a dip bowl that I put my brush in. It's purely just me. And we are just going to kind of swirl that paint around and the coffee around a wee bit. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it goes from one circle onto another. Right, so now we're going to try some of the brushos. So here we are. I've got brushos, and this is in Scarlet, so it's a red colour, but we want very little. So I've got very little at all, and I'm just dropping a little bit in the middle of these. I might try on these magicals. So we've got, okay, so Pretty in Pink Pink. Again, I don't want a lot at all. In fact, I've got very little on my brush, well, my lovely spoon. It's almost like I'm kind of dipping it in and pulling out before anything gets on there. Maybe just a little bit more on that small one. Whoops, there was a lot bit more, of course. Then on this one, the orange, I'm going to put Cocoa Bean Copper, and it's also a magical. And I think it might have some of that pink on it as well. Because with the powders like this, no matter how hard you try not to spill them, they will spill. Now, I'll put those over there. Now, to help this even though we've got coffee on there, we're just going to give them another squirt, maybe 2 in some cases, because we want the colours to disperse. And okay, they're mixing over down the far end, but that's all right. And now what we're going to do is dry them with our heat tools. These are probably about 90% dry. What we're going to do now is just add a little bit of coffee kind of around the edges. You can go over the top if you want, and that'll just kind of dull down that colour a little bit. Okay, so I've done 2 lots of circles here, believe it or not. I just wanted to show you the difference between these were dried with the heat tool. These were left to dry while I went and cooked my dinner. So maybe an hour and a half by the time I then ate and all the rest. To be honest, it doesn't really matter which way it looks. You may just prefer this, or you may go, I don't care if it's messy because I'm too impatient to wait for it to dry. But either way, I will show you the technique using both of these. So we'll start with this one, and I'm just going to tear down the side with the ruler. You don't have to do this, but I'm just making life a little bit easier for myself. And so what we're going to do now is we're essentially going to tear out circles along here. So tearing around, and you can be as accurate as you want. We just want to, at this stage, break them into smaller bits so that they're easier to handle. So we'll start with this one because it's nice and small. So what I'm going to do is tear this into a rough circle. And then I'm not going to throw away all these bits because they can go into my scrap pile for use on other things. So I've got 3 large, 3 sort of medium size, and 3 small. That's cool. Happy with that. Okay, so I've torn them out. Now with these ones here, what I tried to do was tear around whatever the edge was of the piece. So we'll put these ones over there for now. What we're going to do with this, and I'll just straighten that up. Now we've got a pretty good circle here. What we're going to do is imagine there's another circle inside there, and we're just going to tear into the edge of that second smaller circle. And you can tear as many as you like, but I found that sort of 6 was a good number, and it was easier to judge. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. Okay, so they're all torn apart. Now what I did find when I was doing these really big petals, that it was easier to split them in half, then break up the sides. It just made judging sort of where that, how the split should be, a little bit easier. Wasn't so bad on these smaller ones, but certainly on those really large ones, it did make it a little bit easier. What we're going to do now is tear around these to make sort of corners in here to make these look like petals. So what we're doing is making a torn petal from these circles. And all we're doing is just shaping these little wee edges and taking out a very small bit, just like cutting the corner of these. I'd say triangles, but they're not triangles. And it doesn't matter if their shape is not even, because that kind of gives them a little bit more character, I've found. So we're just wanting to take a little bit off the edge, and you can see I'm only tearing off very little bits off the corners essentially to turn those into petals. So I'm going to carry on and get these all finished and then come back to you once they're all done. Before we start to put everything together, and we are going to need a hole punch, so I've got my crocodile here. But before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of doodling. Now, to be honest, this step is totally optional. I'll do some, I'll leave some, but it is up to you whether you do it or not. So all we're going to do is take a petal, and you might want to like put your finger in the middle, but you're going to imagine there's a little wee circle in there. So let me just kind of zoom in a wee bit. So we right there in the middle. So we're going to imagine there's a circle in there, or you could put your finger in the middle. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to doodle sort of 3 times, I think, petal shapes. So again, no pressure. Doesn't matter whether it's looks like a flower or not. We're just kind of going with the flow. There we go. That is how we look. So the next thing we're going to do is, and I'm going to do these one at a time. You can do them all together, but I'm using my small eyelet. If you don't, or my small eye punching thing. If you don't have one of these, you can just use like a needle or an awl, whatever you've got to make a hole in the middle. And it doesn't even have to be in the middle, it's middle adjacent is good. What I'm going to do now, after all that moaning about absolutely nothing, is we're going to put together some flowers. Now I just want to decide which brads I like best. I'll try them in sort of a couple just to see which ones I prefer. I mean, I quite like that one there. And I just wonder if that one looks too small. What do you think? Yeah. So this one is actually coated in like a velveteen kind of finish. Don't ask me who it's by. I've had them so long. The company could be long gone. I just honestly don't remember. So what we're going to do now, before we do that, now that we've made a decision, and this is totally optional, but depending on where you want to put your flowers, you can either leave them flat like this, and we'll make one up, and all we're going to do is feed through the brad. We'll put the next layer on, and we're going to offset it and then we'll put our third layer on. Again, offsetting that, and you might want to just kind of swivel them around to work out which way fits best. And then we open up our brad, and you've got a gorgeous flower there that you've made, and you might just want to kind of lift these up a wee bit just so you can see those layers below. But this will not take up too much space, and you can happily put that in your journal. We will come back and use that again. So we've got that. Now if you don't have brads, you can just glue them together, the 3 layers together, and maybe put a button on top. So there you've got 2 versions there. Definitely the white edge makes a difference in terms of showing those layers up. But what you could do, if you wanted to, is bend up and kind of squeeze together the sides of each petal. You don't need to wet it. All we're doing is bending them up to make them sort of 3D looking-ish. So there we go, we've just curved up those edges there. So when you compare, we go that one there, makes quite a difference for how it looks. So we're going to do that for all 3 layers. All 3 layers have got the bent edges. Now we'll take our brad again, we'll poke it through the middle, we'll poke it through our second layer, and again we're going to offset those petals. So hang on, we need to find that's slightly better, and then our bottom layer, and spread that brad apart. And there you can see it looks quite a bit different, and also quite a bit thicker in terms of, you know, the actual size of the flowers. So if you're wanting to do this, then this style might be better for maybe on the front of a journal. All of them look completely different, yet they're made with the same materials, just different colours and different combinations. So now we just need to actually do something with them. This is a scrap of cardboard. I couldn't tell you what it was left over from, but I'm guessing it runs the length of an A4 sheet. So that is like just over 11.5 inches, and it is just under 3 inches wide. So it is 2 7/8. So that means halfway is 1 end. So 1 and a half. So we'll have to go in. If we go 1.5, then I will need to, no, we'll go 1 under 1.5, and then I will probably need to just trim it, but that's okay. okay. So I'm just going to score that in half. And now we will fold this over. Yep, that's fine. A little bit more than I thought, but that's okay. So happy with that. Now I will just trim that up with our faithful guillotine. And are we there? We're making it 1.25 inches. If we do that, then we'll trim both sides off. No, let's make it. I'm trying to see where we go. Right, there, inch and whatever that is. We'll see how that works. Not quite. Okay, well, bring you in just a... It's hard to get it straight when there's so little there. And of course, because it's so narrow, it goes all horrible. Now I need to do it a third time. Alright, so we're going to 1.25 inches. That's it. End of story. Should have done that in the first place. Right. You're misbehaving because you've been ignored lately, have you? Is that it? You're picking a sad. Well, that's not good enough. You need to sort out your act. Right, so now we're going to glue this together. And we are going to use our glue for the moment. And it's again been a really hot day here. So it's probably runny. Alright. I just feel like I could write my name there or something with glue. Maybe I should try that. Sign all my work. Alright. Really press you down. We don't want any coming apart. I have none of that malarkey. Now, so we've got one huge big long strip. We're going to use some multi-matte medium. Now I've got these small bottles left over from a class that I had taught. So I'm going to use these up because I don't like wasting them. So, whoops. Now, what we need are all these little bits that we tore off. We're not going to waste them. We are going to play puzzles, if I can get this glue to work. What's the story, eh? Alright, there is more than one way to skin a cat, as the saying goes. So now I'm just going to have fun putting these on in random positions. Okay, so this is now thoroughly dried, all of these bits that I put on. So I put a coat of matte media over the top just to make sure that everything was sealed in. Now I'm just going to run my scissors up the side, make sure that I trim off anything that just sort of overhangs a little bit. Any little wee fluffy bits of paper. There's really not a lot. And the matte media and the paper together with the double layer that was glued together have made this quite a strong piece of paper, but it is still quite flexible, so that's good because it's probably going to need it. Alright, so I am happy with that. Now I know I've got a mix of matte media and not on the back. That's okay, I'm not worried about that. Of matte medium rather. So we'll just move these over to the side for a wee bit. We're going to pull out our coffee again. And take our brush, and now we're going to just put coffee all over the top of this. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edge this, and I'm going to use my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Big Brush, and this is Nougat, or Nougat, depending on what you want to say. And these pens, you can get them big, you can also get smaller versions. Are ideal for going over anything that's been coated or has got like matte medium or anything like that over it. So if you've done any kind of junk journal, mixed media work, you probably will have, or watched any videos like that, you probably will have seen them. They're great for like edging and giving that kind of distressed look. There we have this. Now I'm turning this, for me, is a bookmark. So if I bring up my journal, I know it's going to fit in there. And what I'm going to do is slide it just in here anywhere. And now I'm going to put one of my flowers, and I think I'll put this one on the top. So that it's going to actually stick up the top above the top of the page. So I'm going to add a hole up the top. So we want the small hole. And we're going to go about 1/2 inch down. And now I'm going to open up these bread prongy thingies, and I can put that in, and now I can move it around however I want, but now we can slide that in and have it sitting up on top of the journal. And we've got a little bit down the bottom there so that it hangs quite nicely. Now the next thing I want to do with another one, and I'm going to use this one, is I want to put this on the front of my journal as well. And I figured what I'm going to do with that is I'm actually going to put it onto a safety pin. And I could do this and turn it into a brooch if I wanted to. But, so I needed to just check which side, so I'm going to use that silver one. And I have got some scrap paper. And I'll probably use a couple of bits of this, maybe even some card actually. Just looking for some scraps of card. There we go, that'll do. I just think that'll be firmer. And just a smidge too wide, that's okay. So with our scissors, we're going to trim a little section. And I'll decide whether I need to make it, no, that should be fine there. And I just need to make it a little bit narrower. I'm not trimming too much off because I still want plenty of coverage across the pin. No, it needs to be still a bit smidge smaller because I want it to sit between the loop and the head of the safety pin. So that's good there. Now we're going to, and I think, do we want to use, no, we'll use this. This grip's pretty good. So clean off the pin head, scissors out the way, stead myself with the paper. Yeah, it's going to be one of those days. So, and I'm putting in plenty of glue. And we want to, and this is probably going to be more awkward than what I've anticipated. We want to slide that into there and stick that down there with the pin in the middle. And now we just need to press and hold until the pin is secured. Now, I don't know if it's easier to do it with the pin open or closed, but I just figured that would be easiest actually. And pressing down to make sure I've got really good contact with that glue. And now I'm just going to close the pin, and I'm going to set this aside to make sure that glue is dry. Glue is dry before I actually pin it onto my journal. So now I'm going to pin that onto my journal. I can pin it wherever I want. I can also then remove it and wear it as a brooch, because I think that looks really cool. It kind of looks almost like it's made of leather. I just want to shift this top layer around a wee bit, and look at that, I can do that. But I'm just so stoked with the way this has turned out. So anyway, so we've got our bookmark, we've got this, and there was one other thing I wanted to make, and that is to turn one of these, or a couple of these smaller ones, into paper clips. So we've got, I'm going to use this flat one, and I've got some hidden paper clips here, and I will include a link to the video down in the description box where I made these. So it's just a ordinary paper clip, and it's just enclosed in book paper, so that when I put it on my page, it kind of just doesn't look like a boring old paper clip. So I'm going to just adhere this onto the flower, and then I need to, might put something on the back as well. And then we need to find our butterfly, don't we? So here we go. I'm just going to glue all over the side of this. And I've got a bag of these pre-made up. I just had a session where I just tore up a whole lot of book pages, scraps, and got out some paper clips and just folded and glued while I was watching Netflix or a movie, something like that. Just one of those days where you want to be creative, but you don't know what it is that you want to create. Now we want one on our bookmark. So here we go, bookmark. And you're sitting there quite nicely. So maybe, because there's like a lot of black on here, maybe I'll put one of these on. And that kind of brings, like, because there's kind of a mix between modern and traditional. And I quite like the idea of one of these really big butterflies being like in your face type thing. So small ones, and then we've got big ones there. So these are my big options. Put you all away. And I got these from Temu. It was a sheet of like die cut butterflies, and I just had to pull them out of the die cut sheet and yeah, I just then put them into the container. So let's have a look. I think that one might be too big. But yeah, and I like the way that it bends. So that one looks quite good. So far I like that one. And that one looks too delicate. Okay, and those three are the same, so I guess we have a winner. Alright, that's good. Get away, too many choices makes it too difficult. So now we're going to stick you, I think, kind of right there. Now we're going to stick this on. I need some room to balance. I quite like it kind of there. So it now means that that top layer of flour is adhered to the brad, but that's okay because I can move the other two layers around. But I like the way that kind of looks. So now we'll put it back into our journal. There. And then I love the way that that tucks over there. That to me just looks so cool. So we've got that one there. Now we have this one here on our clip. And we're going to use one of these wooden butterflies. No, the cover's got pink on it as well as the blue, so right, we're going with that. So what we're going to do is, that looks better. We are just going to colour that thread. So thank you, paintbrush, you can go back. Thank you, jar of coffee, you can go over there, even though your lid still won't go on. Giving me attitude, I don't know. Right, you can slot over there a wee bit, because we are pulling out the heat tool very quickly. And I like that there's like, it's uneven, it's perfect. Just what I wanted, but didn't know that if I could achieve or not. Right, so let's try that again this time. So we're going to thread that through there. Hang on. Too busy thinking about so many things at once. Right, there. This time, where's our butterfly? We've got through one side, up through the other. Now, we're going to tie a knot, and I'm contemplating whether this is what I want or not, but yeah, at this stage, yes. Right, so there, and then if we trim this up, you want it to be about there. I think we might use matte medium. So in which case we have to pop the top again, because I just could not get that nozzle to work last night. Could not get the nozzle to work, and alright. Now and down below a wee bit. So we're going to use that. That is a lot, I know, but we want to make sure you're going to stay. And now that I've just done that, I am just going to put some up the top as well. Right, so I should have checked the... Alright, so now that we are just going to have to wait to dry. We want 2 of these and we are going to tear them out. So this could be interesting. How, oh look at that, this tearing is much easier than tearing the watercolour paper. Not surprising given it is so much thinner. And I am just kind of tearing it as closely around the butterfly as I dare. And whoops, I should probably zoom you in a bit. So I'm just tearing around the edge, trying to follow the stamp, the outline of the stamp. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Whoops, hang on. That's going to annoy me now. It's hard to do when you've got no nails. But unless that wasn't something I had any choice on. Right, there we go. I like that. So now we're going to put that onto... And actually that tucked under there quite nicely. So what we might do is remove our glue pin and we are just going to put a little bit of glue under there and carefully slide it underneath the brad, so that it will be attached but we can't see. And there we go with that butterfly. That looks quite nice. It's not too intense, which is good because that's not a strong flower colour. So there we go. I like that. Now we have this slot, and I actually think that brown one there. So let us tear across there again, and we're going to tear around this one too. And it looks like this one's going to be a bit more jaggedy, which is okay. I can live with that. So we're going for the kind of grungy look in terms of the tearing as well as an actual kind of look of this piece. And I do kind of like that grungy tearing. So you can see this butterfly is, you know, quite close to it. It's even, whereas this one I've gone quite sort of around the place. Now, can we... Oh, yep, we can do a bit of grunging of the edge. just enough ink on here. That's good. That's what we want. Yep, I like that very much. Okay, so put that away. Now you can see the difference there. And this one we're going to slot in here as well. I might do that up the top there because it kind of looks like there's a gap. And now I need to consider where my paper clip is, so that's sideways there. So that will work. So in there. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. Just a little bit of glue in that kind of spot there. And then we are going to slide you in. Come on, you slid them before. What's the story? Come on, butterfly. Why are you mucking me about? And no, we've just torn it completely. Right, well, as long as the butterfly is in there, that's the main thing, and then we can fake that he's in one piece. Sorry, Tanya, I didn't mean to pull his bottom wing off. He just wasn't cooperating. Alright, this requires surgery. We've got a blob of glue in there. We have the technology. We can rebuild you. Okay, looks like that's not going any further. Alright. You're not going to notice that's off. No, wrong side. You need to go on that side there. So there, that looks quite cool actually. So if we slide you down to there. Now, where's your... So we're going to have to turn you around if we want you to go there. And then, where's a page you can go on? Maybe if we put you on there for now. That's better, so you look quite cool there. Right, so here is our prompt list. Hopefully you can see that. This is the small version. So we've got number on the 4th, a butterfly and 3 torn things. Well, we've actually got 4 versions of this. So each of these have got a butterfly. And each of them have got 3 layers. So I count that as 3 torn things. And then our 2 paper clips have also got torn butterflies. So they've got 4 torn things. So I'm over the moon with how these have turned out. I just need to be patient and wait for this matte medium to adhere. So that butterfly's stuck on there. And then I will be able to pin that onto my journal. So from my first ever prompt, I'm really stoked and over the moon with how these have turned out. I hope you have enjoyed watching this and you think they look as cool as what I do. And I hope it's inspired you to try something similar and add some dimension and some beauty to your journal. Let me know if you give it a go. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye for now.